On this episode of the Common Constitutionalist podcast, I discussed the left's new gun control strategy tugging on the heartstrings of the soccer moms and dads. Liberal Ezra Klein likes Marco Rubio as the Republican nominee, and a homosexual couple in Canada gets a divorce, and you'll never guess the reason why. See, we told you so. Today on the Common Constitutionalist.
You're listening to the Common Constitutionalist, broadcasting from an undisclosed location, free from the prying eyes of establishment black helicopters.
So this latest college shooting has given the left yet another opportunity to go after our guns and ammo with abandon. Obama threatening to do all sorts of executive orders, confiscating. Well, they're not going to say confiscating. They're never going to say confiscating until they start confiscating. But that's the rule. That's the game that they're playing, and that's the end game that they want. But even in this town in Oregon, there were signs. You saw them up. Obama, go away. You're not welcome. You know, our Second Amendment rights. We believe in the Second Amendment of the Constitution, all that stuff. The gun grabbers still aren't getting the traction that they're looking for. There's still not everybody's on board. Of course, no one ever will be on, but not everybody will be on board. Of course not. That's not going to happen. But still, they're reaching for some way to get at the American public, to convince them that guns are evil. And the executive orders aren't going to do anything. These shootings just aren't going to do anything. All they do is prove to common sense Americans that we need more guns in these facilities, not no guns in these facilities. Duh. So they're trying the strong arm technique, and was that Terry the Punk McAuliffe, that jerk governor from Virginia? He's getting into the executive. These maybe liberal governors now are getting into the executive order business, where he signed an executive order limiting legal carry in some state buildings and so on. Oh, and he's also set up a task force to prosecute gun crimes, because gun crimes are so much heinous. Being shot is so much more heinous than being beaten to death with a baseball bat or run over by a car or a truck or something. Yeah, so that has to be prosecuted specially. It's like hate crimes. What the heck is a hate crime? What's a love crime? But I digress. But still, the left is not getting the traction that they want, that they desire. So let's trot out the children. We're gonna have gun control for the children's, and so they have to start tugging on the heartstrings of soccer moms and dads. And oh, you don't want your children shot mistakenly. You have to get rid of your guns so your children won't shoot one another. And sure enough, in the Daily Mail comes an article over the weekend that toddlers they're gunning themselves down. It's like the Wild West. It's like the OK Corral. Toddler Corral. The article explains that, this is a hot one, shocking research has revealed the true extent of shootings involving children under the age of 4, with roughly one a week taking place in the U.S. Of course, the paragraph before that, they said that the toddlers have shot themselves or other people 43 times so far this year. Well, let's see, roughly one a week. That's 52 weeks in a year. That's 43. That's not roughly. That is pretty rough. You're right. That's pretty bloody rough. And in 31 of these cases, the child shot themselves, finding a gun, with 13 dying. So here we go. We're tugging on the heartstrings, tugging away, baby. All you soccer moms, go and demand that the dads take their guns away, lock them up. Sell them. No, don't sell them. Sorry, you can't sell them, obviously. Destroy them. Turn them into the police. Better yet, turn them into Obama. He'll know what to do with them. So anyway, so the study reveals that 43 cases of shootings involving children, basically under the age of 5, okay? I looked it up, and there are roughly about 24 million children from the ages of 0 to 5 in America today. Let's see, 43 shootings, 24 million toddlers. Okay, let's do the math on this. Let's see. 10% of 24 million is 2.4 million. 1% would be 240,000. 0.1% would be 24,000. 0.01% would be 2,400. 0.001% would be 240, and 0.1/10,000% would be 24. So that's 43. So we have roughly 0.2/10,000% of the population of toddlers are being shot, and maybe a fraction of them are being killed. So we are going to make a law. We're going to confiscate guns. We're going to make parents lock up their weapons and make a law for, what did I say, 0.2/10,000% of the population. We're going to make a national federal law or sign executive action for 0.2/10,000%. Yeah, that makes a heck of a lot of sense, doesn't it, folks? Now, I understand and I sympathize and I empathize with the folks that have had their guns taken. Stupid parents have had their toddlers take their weapons and shoot themselves or shoot someone else. I'm sorry, I sympathize with the families to some extent, but the parents are complete morons, apparently. So I'm only kind of half sympathizing with them. But I get it. I get it. But you can't make federal law for that fraction of a population. It's just absurd. When will it end if you start down that road? Of course, hell, we've already started down. That's been in the rearview mirrors for decades. But you know what I mean. So just for craps and giggles here, I looked up the amount of kids that die, not just fall in a pool, but die drowned in a swimming pool. And the last I could figure or find was 2011 statistics. I don't know why they can't. They can keep. They can get the gun violence thing up to the present second, but drowning in U.S. swimming pools, for some reason, that every 5 years, need it or not. But an average of 390 children drown each year in the United States. Most of them younger than 5 years old. 390 drownings. That's dead, folks. That's not just falling in a pool and being rescued by someone, parents or a lifeguard or whatever. But most of these are backyard pools. That's 390 kids dead from swimming, the evil swimming pool. So are we going to confiscate people's backyard swimming pools? Well, if you're following the liberal logic, then absolutely you have to confiscate everybody's swimming pool. You have to put a lock on it. You have to put it in some sort of. You have to disassemble your above ground pool after you're finished using it every time, so the children won't fall into it. It sounds absurd, but it's no more absurd than making a rule, or making an executive action or enacting a law for 2/10,000 of the population of the United States. No, that's just 2/10,000 of the population of kids between the ages of 0 and 5, not the population of the United States. And 390 is a darn sight larger than 43, and of the 43 cases, only a fraction of them, about maybe 25%, were actually killed. So now you're talking not even, I don't even want to go back and do the calculation, but it's ridiculous. This whole thing is ridiculous, and this is exactly what they're doing. The gun grabbers can't seem to get traction from this kind of stuff. So what they're doing is they start pulling on the heartstrings of the soccer moms and dads and how tragic it is, and they're trying to get these people to call into their legislators and demand action. And that's the way the left works. This is community organizing 101, community agitating 101, Saul Alinsky stuff. That's what this is, and that's all Obama knows, and that's all his sycophants know.
You're listening to the Common Constitution. Let the truth be known.
So, liberal Ezra Klein of Vox.com, the ultra-left website. Maybe it's not as ultra-left as Move On or one of those things, or Progressive America or something like that. But it's pretty left-wing, and Ezra Klein is pretty left-wing. Well, he wrote an article about what makes me so confident in Marco Rubio. That is a right off the flag. I've been on the fence with Rubio for a long time now, and a lot of conservatives like Rubio. I mean, he's young, he's Hispanic, and that's important, Cuban, whatever. And he's, conservatives say he's conservative. I'm not altogether sure I'm ever, be honest with you, ever since he was recruited by Chuck Schumer, of all people, for the Gang of Eight immigration reform policy, and his immigration reform views, or his immigration views, on the whole, he's lost his luster with me. I just simply don't trust the guy. It's like Rand Paul. Everybody says that Rand Paul's this big libertarian leaning, conservative and everything. If you endorse Mitch McConnell, if you side with anything with Mitch McConnell, not like Ted Cruz, where McConnell lied to his face and then Cruz voted for something, found out, called him to the carpet, changed his vote. That's not what I mean. Anybody can be snowed one time. It's, the old fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on whatever. But at any rate, so I give Cruz a pass for that TPP vote originally, because McConnell lied to him, and Cruz was man enough to call him to the carpet. But Rubio has never retracted anything regarding the Gang of Eight or his immigration policy, which leads one to believe, you have to believe, that this is what he believes. He wants this Gang of Eight immigration reform, and I don't like that one lick. And so I don't think Rubio's going to get the nomination, and B, I might vote for him, but I don't know. He's not a Jeb Bush, that's for sure. But at any rate, back to old Ezra here. He thinks that, and he's repeated on a number of occasions his prediction of it's going to be Hillary against Marco. That's when it all shakes out. That's what it's going to happen. But he has a problem with Marco Rubio because he doesn't know how he's going to dethrone Trump, so to speak. Everybody thinks Trump is eventually going to slip up or fade or whatever, but that doesn't appear to be happening. And everybody's making excuses that Trump's supporters are marginalized, and Trump has just a sliver of support that won't go away, but he's not gaining ground, and so on and so forth. And that's all a load of crap. And again, let me reiterate, let me repeat, I am not a Trump guy. I'm a Cruz guy, period. But Ezra said that basically here's Rubio. He can't understand why Rubio's not picking up more ground, because he says Rubio is Trump's stylish opposite. Young, where Trump is old. Okay. Hispanic, where Trump is white. Oh, that's a big whoop. Look at, why don't you look at your side of the aisle, where everybody's an old white fart, whether male or female, but they're old codgers. Every one of them is old and white. So let's not talk about Hispanic nonsense. At any rate, so he's Hispanic where Trump is white. He's courtly where Trump is brash, hopeful where Trump is angry, intellectual where Trump is instinctual, and an insider where Trump is an outsider. Well, that is, according to Ezra, that's a good thing, to be an insider, because you know the workings of the Senate and the House and politics, and you know how to play the game. Well, this time around, Trump support, Carson support, Cruz's support, Fiorina's support. I don't know, whatever. People are looking for an outsider. They don't want somebody that knows how to play the game, so to speak, or demonstrates that he can play the game. That's why Cruz isn't considered an insider, because he is, in fact, he's a politician, as it were, but he doesn't play the game. It's not that he may, I'm sure he could figure out how to play the game. He just refuses to do it. Ergo, he's an outsider, and that's why he's been so popular. Klein says the best argument that Trump's support would run to Rubio is that Republicans will somehow get the message that Rubio is their best chance to win the White House, and they'll vote accordingly. Well, here again, this time around is a bit of an oddity. 2016 looks to be the year of the oddity, where the Republicans, the conservatives are coming out en masse and saying we are not going to support somebody just because maybe we think that they might be able to win. We've heard that old song before with, well, I don't know if we heard it with Dole. Dole, it was just his time. But we heard it with McCain. He's the only guy that can win. We heard it with Romney. He's the only guy that can win. And what happens? He's the only guy that lose. They lose. They're losers. The only reason why I never supported McCain, but the only reason why I eventually did support Romney is because he's a good guy. He's a good person. Sure, he's a moderate and everything, but at least I thought we could get at least a good person in the White House, bring some stature that way back to the office. But he lost because he was a moderate, and he went squishy. And that's the way you lose. That's the way moderates always lose, and that's the way they will continue to lose. They toe the establishment line. And here's where I think actually Klein has it about right. And this is what I kind of suspect about Rubio, is that he's kind of he's the establishment's second choice. If it's not going to be Bush, it's going to be Rubio, and they can back Rubio because they think that he'll play the game, and he may very well. He said, Klein says, but Rubio's support is roughly a third of Trump's vote share, and it looks to have come largely at Jeb Bush's expense. Now, what does that tell you right off of the bat? If Rubio's pulling from Jeb, he ain't pulling conservatives, folks. He's pulling the squishy, moderate, middle establishment Republicans. Klein continues, imagine Rubio sees another surge, though. Rubio could take all of Bush's voters and that add all of Rand Paul, Chris Christie, John Kasich, Lindsey Graham, Rick Santorum, Bobby Jindal, George Pataki, and Jim Gilmore-Flynn, and he still would be trailing Trump. And that's where I agree with Klein, is I think that this is where Rubio would be pulling votes from. He'd be pulling votes from, probably not from Jindal, because I like Jindal. So if I like Jindal, that means he's not an establishment guy. I kind of like Rick Santorum. I like his foreign policy stuff. I think Santorum actually would be a pretty decent Secretary of State, frankly. But the others he'd pull from, Chris Christie, moderate, establishment. John Kasich, establishment. Lindsey Graham, joke. George Pataki, joke. Jim Gilmore-Flynn, no one even knows who he is, so asterisk. And that's the problem. And so this is why I don't think I could support Rubio, is because he's the hidden establishment vote. He's the guy. If the establishment can say, okay, we're not going to get Jeb, let's get behind Rubio, there has to be a reason why Rubio would agree to something like that. And the only reason I can see is that Rubio is the hidden establishment candidate. Therefore, I don't think I could possibly support him, period. So I don't think Rubio is going to be the nominee, as Klein says, but Klein's pretty much got it right for the rest of this, as much of a liberal weenie as he is. I think he's pretty much got it right there. He doesn't know how Rubio's going to topple Trump, because I don't think it's going to happen, because there aren't enough establishment people out there that will support a candidate to overcome this ever-increasing silent conservative majority that's finally waking up.
You're listening to the Common Constitution. Let the truth be known.
So this I think I'll call See, We Told You So, or So It Goes segment, because this is what we had been predicting this whole time about this homosexual marriage thing, the transgendering thing, basically not the more the transgendering thing. That's ridiculous on its face, to be honest with you. But this whole homosexual gay marriage thing. This is a story from, I think it was the Daily Mail, but it's regarding a homosexual couple in Vancouver, Canada, who recently got divorced, and you'll never know the reason. You couldn't guess in a million years the reason why these two gentlemen got divorced. Now I'm going to try to get through this topic as quickly, efficiently as I can, because I'm just going to say it. This whole homosexual marriage thing bugs me to no end. Homosexuality grosses me out. Sorry, just the way it goes. I am old school. Guys like girls, girls like guys. The rest of it's, frankly, unnatural, and it's just icky, frankly. And I think it goes back to the time I was in college, and I went to a house party in Columbia, South Carolina. A guy was having a house party at his parents' house, and his parents were away. What a shocker that was. So he was having a house party, and a couple of friends of mine from my hall drove out to this party, and guys were parking the car, so I walked in ahead of them, and I walk up to the front porch of this house, and there on the front porch on this porch swing thing was a couple making out. There was a guy sitting in the porch swing and his date sitting on top of him going at it. And the date had long hair, and I didn't think a thing. Gee, wonder where this is going. Didn't think a thing of it until they noticed something. It wasn't me, but it was something. Interrupted their makeout session, and the person that was sitting on the lap turned around, and I don't know if his name was Larry or Harry or whatever his name was, but the son of a gun had a mustache, and frankly, I just turned around and walked away. I couldn't believe my freaking eyes, man. I must have been living under a rock my whole life. It's the first time I had ever witnessed anything like that. I'm sorry to say it wasn't the last. That's so. At any rate, I'm just putting it out there. It just grosses me out. Can't stand it, but that's just the way it is, the way of the world. So anyway, back to See, We Told You So. These two gentlemen from Canada, Adam Grant and Shane Curran, they tied the knot in 2011. How exciting. 1 year later, they met Sebastian Tran in a nightclub, and they really hit it off. So what they did was Adam and Shane, who were married in Canada, decide to get divorced, and so they could all live together as one, harmoniously, under one roof, and so that Sebastian Tran wouldn't feel left out. So now they're in a polygamous, I don't even know what you call it, arrangement, and they couldn't be happier, apparently, at least for now, until one of these hose bags gets the wild eye for some other guy. Maybe they'll invite some other dude in. But the point of this segment is, as much as it icks me out, is that this is the see, we told you so. This is the way things are going to go down. It starts with conventional marriage, man and woman, and then we tolerate homosexual coupling, so to speak, and then we somehow accept homosexual coupling, so to speak, and then we are expected to tolerate homosexual marriage because it's just love, and shouldn't they be in love, and shouldn't they get the same benefits of being in love as a married heterosexual couple? And so then we tolerate that, and then we're asked to accept that. And so this will be it, though. We promise that if you give us homosexual marriage, then this will be it for sure. We absolutely promise. And we won't bother your churches, and we won't force people to marry us, and we won't shut bakeries down. Oh, that's right, we will. Sorry. But then you're going to get things like this, where Adam and Shane, they get divorced, and then they all hook up as a threesome, permanent threesome in a house. Adam, Shane, and Sebastian, who couldn't be happier, and it's wrong. It's just wrong for us heterosexuals to not accept the happiness of the three-way, and soon probably to be the four-way, and the five-way, and the who knows how many other way. And then they'll invite Edgar the Goat in, and Peter the Penguin, and whatever. And they'll all eventually want to marry. And then we're supposed to tolerate that. The fact that Sebastian wants to marry his pet goat, and Adam and Shane and Peter the Penguin want to get hitched, and they all want to live in a commune together. And that's supposed to be, and this will be the new definition of marriage. And everything will be so wonderful. But that'll be it, though. They won't go any further than that. And this is the way it goes. We, the backwards heterosexuals, for either religious beliefs or whatever beliefs, think that homosexuality is, well, it is, in fact, unnatural. Sorry, folks. Those are the facts. May not like them, but it's unnatural. That means it doesn't fit in nature, and it doesn't. It's tough for procreation when there are two dudes or two chicks. Doesn't work. So it's unnatural, and it's icky, too, frankly. Particularly guys. Ooh, ick. But this is what we're asked to do. We're asked to tolerate just a little bit, and they promise this is all they want. They just want, first they wanted the separate but equal. They didn't have to be married, but they could conjoin some way. And then that wasn't good enough. Now they have to be married. The two homosexuals or two lesbians or two whatevers have to be married. And now Adam and Shane are going to get divorced, and they're living with Sebastian in whatever bliss they think this is. And then eventually those three are guaranteed they're going to, if they stay together, they're going to suggest that they get married, and then someone will demand it on their behalf, or they will do it. And then we will be forced to accept that nonsense, and this is the way it's going to go. Mark my freaking words. We never should have ventured down this path. This is the way it always goes with the left. They can never be satisfied. They never will be satisfied, no matter how much we give, no matter how much we compromise. It will never, ever be enough. Whoosh! And that is all I've got. Y'all have a great weekend. Talk to you next week.